Hello everyone, and thanks for hanging out with me. It's time to take a bit of to make a bit of a resume about the Renault Megane E-Tech 60 kilowatt hours. I drove the car for 2.5 days. I think I drove altogether 500 something kilometers, not a lot. And I want to do the resume in comparison to my Id.3. And I know I do this all the time because I own an Id.3 and blah, blah, blah. But it's also really the closest competitor. And I want to give you some help. What is the better car for you? In what circumstances? That's very important. And I know I'm an Id.3 owner and I should be all for the Id.3 and Renault is crap, but that's not the case. I want to be as fair as possible, and I think I am fair. If there is a great car, Id.3 is not the perfect car. It could be a better car for me. It could be a Renault could be a better car for you. It's all about what you need, and I want to tell you what they are the same and what they are, what the differences are. I made a video where you can see little details and everything about the car's difference, but this is more of a resume after seeing all the tests, after watching back on the video and driving the Renault for a while, then especially afterwards driving the Id.3, which was very important to me to get a comparison very well. So, what are they extremely similar? And I've noticed that in the drive. First of all, consumption. Consumption seems to be very similar at 130 kilometers an hour, and because of that, I also think that in even slower speed city and everything, they also be very close. I made a comparison with an Id.3 on mostly city and country road, and the consumption was 162 to 150, but also in my 130 kilometers an hour range test, I noticed that the consumption the real consumption should be a bit lower than what the car shows. So I think it's very, very similar. Maybe the Id.3 is a tiny bit more efficient, but it's not a big deal. Charging. When it comes to DC charging, I made a video again, you can watch it here. It's extremely similar that they go up to around 130 kilowatt. Megane maybe a tiny bit less again, but all over range added and the kilowatt where you are state of charge is very, very similar. So they're very close to that. Important also is the space. In the front seat, how you sit in there, it's very similar. The trunk is very similar. Megane, liter-wise, is bigger, but putting stuff in, it's not as wide and not as long, but deeper. So in the end, it all depends what you need. Did you put something long in there? Maybe the Id.3 is better, and if it's something small, but you need very deep, then Megane is better. So again, they're very similar. These are the things that are almost the same, and then similarities we have in driving, top speed, and how they are on the road, especially at 130. At 100, of course, they're both very quiet. 130, they're very similar. Id.3 is still a bit more quiet, but again, the things we just said, where there are tiny differences, is not a reason to not get the Megane E-Tech. It's still a great car. But now I want to talk about what are the things where each car has a bit more strengths, and I want to start with the Renault. So if software is very important to you, so having a feature, getting it updated, having Google Android Automotive on the car, having a very nice big screen in the middle and a very nice big screen in your instrument cluster where you can see the map, where you have Android, Google Maps here on your main screen. You have apps like Spotify and whatever, and it works flawlessly. It works great. You have buttons for your climate that you can reach right away, and they work very well. Then the Renault is for you. It's done really well. I loved it. This was amazing to experience. I liked it a lot. When it comes to AC charging, if 22 kilowatt AC charging is important to you, the Megane is just amazing that it can do that. Normally you get that at very expensive cars. Now the thing is 11 kilowatt or maximum 16 kilowatt on some Teslas, but 11 kilowatt is the norm. To have 22 kilowatt AC if you need it. And again, for me it's not necessary. I charge AC at home, and when I'm on the go I charge DC. It I think it never happened where I had to plug in AC, and the 22 kilowatt would have been better because I was at 10% and needed to be at 100% and would only take 2 hours. And then usually with 11 kilowatt, it would take 4 hours. But if you need that, then this is your thing. And now we get to the ID.3. If for you it is important, like I said, that the rear passengers are adults and have a bit more space, they feel comfortable. If when you get into the car, it's very spacious, not cramped, there's almost nothing in there, it feels very spacious and empty, which can be a nice feeling in a car, and the screen is small, your instrument cluster is small. If this is important to you, then the ID.3 is your car. If driving on a highway, you like it extremely quiet, you like it extremely stable and very comfortable, then ID.3 is your car. The Megane is not far behind when it comes to noise, comfort and stability, but it's behind. And if this is something that you are looking for, and for example for me it is, I drove the Megane for the 3 days, I felt great, I thought this is amazing, then I drove my ID.3 home and I said, yeah, this is different, this is still better. And on the highway, on the country, it doesn't matter. When you drive over bumps, when you drive 130, 160, the stability is just better. The same for the steering. Megane is very direct and it's a bit very loose, the steering. It feels more like a city, even though you can have 3 settings in the instrument cluster, and I had it on the hardest and I tried all of them. But on the highway, when you drive above 130, it's a bit too light, and with the comfortableness, that's a tiny bit behind. The stability is not as good as in the ID.3. Again, if this is very important to you. For example, for me it is, but it doesn't have to be for you. Now to the negative things. And I start with the ID.3 now. Of course, ID.3 is behind in a few things. Software updates come rarely, and it takes a while, and it doesn't have too many features. And we're still waiting. And Android Automotive is just so much better to have Google Maps in there. Renault wins here big time. It's just amazing. The prices right now, this is something to consider, but we are in a very horrible time when it comes to buying EVs, and nobody knows in the future if the Renault will not get cheaper and it will be at the same level, because right now we have weird packages where the Renault Megane you get almost fully spec'd and you don't have too many different feature packages. ID.3 you have a few, and that's why the price difference is a bit hard to say right now. You can spec up the Megane more expensive. The problem is, do you need all those features? And the same as in the ID.3, do you need a head-up display? Do you need panoramic roof? I don't even know if the Megane can have that. Maybe it can have both of them. I don't know. I looked through the price spec thing, but I didn't see it. But it's possible that it will still get it. But so the price difference right now is hard to say. The same with delivery time. I'm sure is bad on both cars right now. I still think Renault Megane is an amazing car, and maybe it's the car for you. For me, it's very close, just because the comfortable drive, because I'm taking a lot of long trips on the highway. I've drove 40,000 kilometers with this car, and I would say 20,000 kilometers was just on the highway. And so this is very, very important to me, that I have comfortable driving where I don't need to have both hands on the steering wheel, even if I drive 140 or more. This is important to me. Doesn't have to be important to you. I say it for the 3rd time. But Android Automotive and the instrument cluster with having the map in there and all the stuff, that was just very nice. What I didn't like about the Renault was that you don't have more than, you have 2 trips, but why don't I have 3 trips in the instrument cluster or 3 trips here? Why is this like this? And then the negative in the ID.3 would be that for climate and everything you want to change, you have to go through the infotainment system, where in the Renault Megane you just have a button somewhere. For climate you have buttons. That a lot of people are complaining about the haptic buttons in the ID.3, and in the Renault you have normal buttons and they feel nicer, I have to say. But changing speed with pressing up and keep staying there can also be annoying as swiping up or pressing up long on the Id.3. So it's all what you prefer. For me, I don't think there's a pro or con here. Both have negative sides and positive sides. Again, as always, it's up to you. I'm just giving you pointers to see what is more important to you and what car you should decide for. But that's it for me. Thank you much for watching. Have a great day and take care. Bye.